We going over last night's games, or are we diving right into today?
Right into today. Here we go. Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network for Sunday, February 21st. Ian Cameron, your host as always. Alex B. Smith and Jimmy Murphy, you know they're my regular colleagues here on the Ice Guys. Both of them off today, but will be back with me tomorrow. But back with me today is a guy that we had for the first time on the Ice Guys show yesterday. Special guest back again for more, Ryan Money Mac McDonald. As you see, if you're watching the show on YouTube, you see on the marquee right there. You can follow him on Twitter at MoneyMac_sports. It was good having him on the show for the first time. He's back today. Ryan, how are you? Are you looking forward to Sunday?
Good, Ian. Yeah. Looking forward to having a better Sunday than Saturday. It was definitely a dog night in the NHL last night, and I was on the wrong end of a few of those, but gonna get back at it tonight and see if we can get some winners.
Yeah, it sure was, Ryan. There's no question. I mean, you look at the underdogs across the board that got the job done in the NHL. It started with the two early afternoon games. The Buffalo Sabres as a big dog against New Jersey, getting the job done. The New York Rangers as a dog against the Washington Capitals, winning 4-1. The Detroit Red Wings, how about them getting off the mat after they got pummeled by the Panthers in the first game? They beat them 2-1 yesterday. Carolina, stunning shutout of Tampa Bay, not just beating Tampa Bay, shutting them out. You don't see the Lightning basically goose-egged very often, but we saw that last night against Carolina. An impressive job by the Hurricanes there. That was another underdog that won. The LA Kings just basically took Arizona's revenge-minded ways and shoved it right back in their face. A 4-2 victory for the LA Kings. Impressive there. San Jose, 5-4 over St. Louis, blew a big lead, but came back to get the game-winning goal and win that one. Another dog that cashed in. Nashville beating Columbus. Begrudgingly, I have to admit, Nashville won a hockey game. They beat Columbus 4-2 last night, but they were full marks for it. That was a terrible effort by Columbus, and the shots were 38-18 for Nashville at one point. So it's almost like Columbus won the first game and said, you know what, this team's so bad we could just step on the ice and think we can just going to get a win by not putting in the work, not winning puck battles, not generating offense, not moving our feet. They were in the penalty box all night. That's what happens. You can't ever disrespect your opponent. If you're better than them, you've got to still put in the work. You've still got to bring that compete level to where it needs to be, because these are still NHL teams. These are still professionals. You can't ever do that, and Columbus paid the price for that with a feeble work ethic and feeble effort last night. Toronto with the 5-3 win against Montreal, as Austin Matthews continues to just be sick, wicked, and nasty right now, as far as to steal a Chuck Swirsky term. He has been absolutely amazing. 2 more goals last night. One of the best releases in the NHL, and that's exactly how he scored both of those goals against Carey Price. Minnesota beats Anaheim 5-1. And what on earth is wrong with the with the Calgary Flames? A 7-1 loss to the Edmonton Oilers. They're another team that deserves my wrath, like Nashville has been the last few weeks. This team's got problems. Johnny Gaudreau disappears for extended stretches in games. He did it again last night. That's a problem. Sean Monahan's injured, so I can't criticize him, but when he gets back, he's got to be more consistent. You look at the defense. This defense is awful right now, the way they're playing. They're getting beaten to the net. They're coughing up the puck. They're just totally out of position in their own zone, breaking down left and right in the defensive zone. And I look at the blue line. I'm seeing Giordano look a little bit like his best days are behind him. He's had a really tough season for the Flames. That's a big reason why this blue line's struggled. You look at some of the other guys that haven't really been playing the level they have. Tanev even has been guilty of, getting beaten defensively at times this year. They've got a couple of youngsters, Valimaki and Nestorov, that don't look like they're NHL ready just yet. Maybe they will be, but so far not really. And Noah Hanifin, what on earth has happened to this guy's game? Like, first-round pick at one point. This is a guy that was getting 30 points, in a season from the blue line in the past with Carolina. And now you see him 3 points, barely a plus player, and he's been not making much of an impact on that blue line. That whole collective Calgary blue line right now is just in shambles. The team is in shambles, actually. And finally, Jacob Markstrom's back has been broken from carrying the team, and finally you're seeing him get shelled and lit up and given up some goals And I don't think you can fault him. If things could be a lot worse right now for the Calgary Flames, if not for Jacob Markstrom. So they've got plenty of problems. So that was a look back at Saturday. Ryan, how about your thoughts on what we saw on the Saturday slate yesterday? What were some of the results that stuck out to you, other than, of course, your Leafs, although I'll give you some time to boast and revel in the joy of their big victory last night over the dreaded Habs.
Yeah, that was it was nice to get a rivalry win, especially being a hometown team for me. Surprised to see Washington come out as flat as they did against New York there, and they just didn't. They just weren't able to find the back of the net. And then the San Jose and the St. Louis game, when St. Louis came back with 4 goals in the second, I thought for sure they had it. And they just weren't able to buckle down against much weaker San Jose team, especially with all the injury problems that they have. So that was surprising on its own, even though it was a 5-4 win for San Jose. And like you said, what's going on with this Calgary team? Because they just didn't show up last night in a back-to-back game against a in-province opponent, especially against Edmonton. But McDavid did what McDavid does and stole the show, and there wasn't much they could do to stop them. And Tampa, definitely I'll be looking for them their next game after that flat spot 4-0 against Carolina. I just can't see them dropping 2 in a row, so I'll be eyeing them in their next matchup, because that was my best bet of the night, and I didn't see that going that way, that's for sure. And then the outdoor game we had was delayed early, and then didn't get going until 9 p.m. local time there, I think, and got another slow outdoor game, just like we thought. So the under came through in that one. Actually, I hit the under live when they had a quick first goal, so I got it at 5.5 and at 6.5. So that was nice last night. But it was nice to see Pittsburgh get the win for Crosby's 1,000th game, and with that little tribute they did to him in the pregame, thought that was pretty cool, especially with all he's done for that organization. So. A few bright spots, few down spots for me last night. It was nice to get Matthews anytime goal scorer and to score 2 or more at 500. I know I gave out the Matthews anytime goal scorer as an official play, and I personally sprinkled some on the plus 500 at 2 or more. So I think that about wraps it up for me for last night. Ended up 5-7. What I gave out on the show, not the best night, that's for sure, but back at it today, and hopefully pick the spots a little bit better.
Yeah, that was my Saturday. Some good, some bad when it came to the NHL from a betting standpoint. Won some, lost some. That's essentially what it was. You can't get them all right, especially when you're an extreme high volume guy like me. You're gonna have days like that, and you accept that when you take on a high volume approach like I do. And you're just looking to grind out profit day by day, week by week, month by month. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And people say, how do you do it with these high volume? Well, first of all, I'm high volume, but people think that high volume means I'm putting thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in play. It's not necessarily the case. My unit structure is quarter unit to 2 units per play. And the 1 and 2 unit plays are very rare, extremely rare. So most of the 90% of my wagers are quarter unit and half unit each. That's the way it has to be. That's the way it has to be. I mean, you got people out there that think they can get away with betting, 15 or 20 games a day, 10 units and 50 units and all this nonsense and all these really unrealistic unit amounts and unit numbers that they set to their betting scale. And it's like, you're just going to lead people down a primrose path of disaster, if you do that. So you've got to scale back. If you're going to do that approach, do a low unit high volume approach. Don't do a big unit high volume approach, or you're putting in a ton of money into that. And that's where you get into trouble. That's why even if I have that really awful day, that 4-15 day, or that 4-12 day, which is going to happen when you're doing high volume like me, you survive it because you're going low unit approach. It's not going to drain you when you have that day. And that's, whereas if you're going to go big, with your high volume approach in terms of your unit size, in terms of your wager amount, it will drain you a 4 and 15 day. You are going to be in the point where, you're sucking out most of your bankroll that currently had existed. So that's why I stress that. And that's why I tell people that's why the approach works for me, because of the way I go about it with the low unit sizes. That's the way you have to if you're going to be betting a lot of plays per day. So that's just a little primer there on how to handle things if you're going to be involved in high volume. But yeah, thank you, Ryan, for bringing up the outdoor game, because I totally glossed over mentioning that. But yeah, I mean, Colorado, 3-2 win. This team is they've got it all right now. You talk about a complete hockey team. They've got 4 lines of depth that can all score and factor into the offense. They have a blue line that is got a nice combination of experience and a lot of talented youth. And these talented youth, you would think there's growing pains, there's struggles. Not these guys, not Sam Girard, not Cale Makar, not Bowen Byram, who stepped into the lineup at 19 years old and looks like he's been in the league for 3 years. And what I like about their blue line is they can move the puck. They're great skaters, and they can quickly get back defensively. You see these guys race to get back into defensive position. There's a reason why they're a top-notch defensive team in the league as well, Colorado, because those mobile blue liners with that great skating ability can get themselves back into position, even if they pinch in, even if they take an extra chance or two at the opponent's blue line, because they have that skating ability to get back on defense. And of course, Philip Grubauer in net, who a lot of people were still skeptical of coming into this season, has been rock steady in net. So tell me where the flaw is right now with the Colorado Avalanche. I don't see it. And one last thing about the NHL game, Ryan, maybe I'll get your thoughts after about Colorado specifically, but this has to be finally what we saw yesterday with the hot sun burning a hole through the ice, essentially causing that game to be delayed until midnight Eastern when it was restarted. This has to be the final nail in the coffin of having real early afternoon, outdoor games. You got to put them at night, because now we've seen more and more, and global warming is a thing, regardless of what anyone says, we're seeing it. You've got to put these games on at night. You're going to get better ice conditions. It's unfortunate you couldn't see the mountains or see that great skyline and view in the background when the game was finished at night yesterday compared to during the day. But, the ice conditions have to be the first and foremost thought. You can't have referees like Wes McCauley slipping and sliding on the ice yesterday. You can't have, Alex Pietrangelo even do a toe pick, during the daytime part, the first period of that game, which was played during the day. It was not safe, and they made the right call. It probably shouldn't have started at all, but they made the right call after the first period to say, you know what, we got to play it at night. And this should be a wake-up call to the NHL, to Gary Bettman, Bill Daly, and the league to say, you know what, we might just have to start doing all of these outdoor games at night and see, and to make sure that safety, player safety, and making sure the ice is in as good a condition as possible for the game becomes the first and foremost factor. But Ryan, any final thoughts? Colorado, the outdoor game, anything else, and then we'll go, start breaking down today's card.
Yeah, just like we thought, it was going to be a low-scoring game, and even with that one goal early in the, I don't know if you noticed it, but with that first goal, that puck bounced quite a bit to find the back of the net, and it skipped in and skipped past Fleury, and I feel like on a regular ice surface, you don't see that goal go in. So I think that factored into it, and I think it fell into just what we thought with the low-scoring game that it actually gave out. And yeah, like you said, you can't let the guys play on a nice surface like that, especially with how bad it actually was. I think, like you said, it was the last day. Might be the last day outdoor game we see, but they did make it work in LA and believe Dallas too, didn't they? So during the day. So
I think LA was at night.
I thought
Dallas
it was
during the
questionable
day.
why they could make it work. I was very surprised they had his. Oh, I'm about. You're frozen. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you. Keep going. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised they couldn't. They had as many issues with the ice as they could, but like you said, it was unfortunate we couldn't see that backdrop. But uh, well, it is what it is. We got to see it at the beginning, but still got to see a great game of hockey, anyways.
Yes, we sure did. It was, and you know what? That was now three. And I think all three of them stayed under the total, but I don't care about overs,
Yep.
unders. I care about or scoring or low scoring. I care about they were competitive games. There was playoff intensity. There was a little bit of everything. There was a lot of chances. The goaltending was stellar in all three games. It was not a dull game. It was 1-goal games, all three of them. I mean, what more can you ask for than that, other than a playoff series between those two teams, which I hope we see. And I actually think we'll see it. But yeah, Vegas and Colorado, and they'll play each other one more time as well on Monday night. So looking forward to that. All right, Sunday. Let's turn our attention now to today and what's ahead of us. We've got 4 games on tap. We'll start with the first game, the game that was rescheduled from night to afternoon because the Flyers-Bruins outdoor game today in Lake Tahoe got pushed back to the night. So they moved this game from night to early. And that's New Jersey taking on Washington here, 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. We've got Washington minus 160, home favorites, total 6 shaded to the over in this game. Both of these teams coming off losses yesterday. They both played yesterday afternoon, and both of them lost. The Washington Capitals to the New York Rangers, and of course the New Jersey Devils losing to the Buffalo Sabres in somewhat surprising fashion, 3-2. But again, I said on yesterday's show, I'm worried about the spot here for the Devils. Big underdog wins against the Bruins and Rangers, playing Buffalo, the desperate Sabres who rallied back and played one of their definitely their best games since returning from their COVID shutdown to get the victory in that game. Washington had their chances yesterday. Peter Laviolette saying we didn't generate enough. Offense has not usually been the lack of offense has not usually been the problem here for the Washington Capitals, but Peter Laviolette said we didn't really generate as much offensive zone time as we needed to. VTech gave us a chance, he said. We needed to be in the offensive zone a little bit more. So I think the onus, based on what the coach's quotes were, is that we're going to try to see Washington improve on the forecheck, really try to, dictate, have better puck possession, more zone time. And if they have that zone time, you then have to look at the opponent. What are they bringing to the table defensively? Well, they're bringing Aaron Dell. Farmer in the Dell is finally making his return here for the first time this season for the New Jersey Devils. His first start of the year. This is a guy that's played in San Jose the last few years. He actually started the season with Toronto briefly, but they put him on waivers, and now he's with New Jersey here. I mean, Aaron Dell is what he is. He's a mediocre, average at best, journeyman goaltender. 3.01 goals against average, 907 save percentage in 33 appearances last year. For the San Jose Sharks. But now he's got to face a Capitals team that isn't happy about their offensive game. That's number one. And number two, are ninth in the NHL in goals scored per game, 3.31 goals per game on average. So this is a tricky spot here for New Jersey, and Washington off the loss. I'm not going to lay the price with Washington. I've got 2 bets on this game. Here's the approach I'm taking. I'm going with Washington's team total over 3.5. I think that is something really that I don't want to worry about, because Samsonov might actually be in and returned in net for Washington. He hasn't played in a while, and that worries the hell out of me about laying the price with Washington. I don't want to have to fret about what does New Jersey do from an offensive standpoint against a potentially rusty goaltender if he starts in this game. And if he doesn't start, it's going to be Craig Anderson, who, is an old guy now. He's not someone I trust at this stage of his career. So I would rather not lay the money line price with the Capitals, worry about what New Jersey might or might not do, and just focus on the fact that I think Washington's going to score. Washington's going to find the back of the net, which is why I like that team total over 3.5 with the Capitals. And I also like the full game over 6 here, minus 120. I know New Jersey's trended under in 3 games since they returned, all of those with Blackwood in net, who's been absolutely outstanding. You could argue he bailed them out against the Rangers. I thought the Rangers could have beat New Jersey, but Blackwood was sensational. You could argue that even Boston could have beat New Jersey. Blackwood kind of stole that one as well. There's no Blackwood to steal the game for the Devils this afternoon. There's a huge drop-off, in my opinion, going from him to Aaron Dell. So I like this. It's going to be Anderson. There we go. Yes, in net, it looks like for this game. Craig Anderson. So not Samsonov not ready to go. I like the over even more than probably
Yep.
for the full game in that case. So I'm going to do two bets: Washington's team total over, and also the full game over 6 here at -120. Ryan, what do you like here with Devils Capitals?
Yeah, I'm right with you there. I actually got the over 6 penciled in already as well. Both these teams have trended over lately from what I've found. Washington's over 14 in the last 19 home games. They're also 6-1 in the last 7 at home versus Jersey. Jersey is 5-15 versus the last 20 in Washington. Or last 20 versus Washington, and over in last 5-7 on the road. So I got the over 6 penciled in with this game, especially when I seen it was going to be Dell and possibly Samsonov in his first game back. But like you said, with Anderson, he's a little bit older. He's a little bit at the end of his journey and not as sharp. And reflexes aren't as quick anymore. So, and with Dell having that long layoff and not playing a game in a long time, loving the over here. So, especially with the way they've been putting up goals. Washington's been putting up 3.38, and Jersey's been putting up 2.75. So I think if we can get 2 from Jersey, I think we'll definitely see at least 4 from Washington, if not 5. And so I think the over is to play in this game. I lean to Washington on. I'd like to lean on Washington on the side, but with the back to back, and Philly's actually been pretty well on the road against the spread. Against the spread away, they're 5-1 this year, and 8-5 overall. So majority of their against their spread wins this year have come on the road. They're also straight up 4-1-1 on the road. So my gut says Washington, but my head says Jersey lean, but locking in the over 6.
Yeah, I like over 6. I probably like the over 6 now with Anderson. Craig Anderson confirmed a net for Washington, even more than the team total for the Caps. But I'm sticking with the team total for the Caps too, because I do expect them to pepper Aaron Dell with plenty of shots. So it's just and by the way, Washington, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but Washington has played a lot of these Sunday afternoon games on NBC, and this is another one. And they have had a ton of them go over the total. I can't even remember how many of them have been lower scoring. They've been over the total, over machines, Washington, it seems, whenever they play these Sunday, Saturday afternoon games on national television. So it wouldn't surprise me to see more of the same here.
Speaking of Sunday stats, actually, Jersey is 7-0 in the straight up in the last 7 Sunday games played.
There you go. And some teams take to it.
Yeah.
And find a way to prepare themselves, because hockey players are like creatures of habit. They got to adjust sometimes the way they do things leading up to a game when it's an early start compared to an evening game. But it hasn't affected the Capitals. They've been excellent apparently in these Sunday matchups here going into this one. I'm trying to think. Or is it? Oh, someone says Caps have yet to win on a Sunday. Is it 7-0 or 0-7? Washington. Let me just double check.
I've seen that as well. Seen somebody just put that in the chat as well. I think it's worth. What's the price on? What can you get on New Jersey right now?
Devils are 7-0 in their last. No, Capitals are 0-5 in their last Sunday games. So it's the Devils that are 7-0. Devils are 7-0 in their last 7 Sunday, but they don't play a ton of Sunday games as many. So
you know what?
By the way,
I'm gonna take a shot on New Jersey as well tonight.
This afternoon, you mean?
I got to take a shot with New Jersey here on a Sunday. With 7-0 against a Washington team that played last night, and I mean Jersey did too, but they got the win, so I feel like they might have a little bit of momentum here rolling into this Sunday game. And at 140 versus on a back-to-back, I'm going to take a shot with it. So I'm going to go Jersey and the over 6.
All right, so there we go. Adding Jersey. I can't back Aaron Dell, but I understand that the price is pretty good with this New Jersey team. I do think consensus is we'll probably see a lot of goals. That's the thing in this game. And I know New Jersey's been defensive minded. There's no question. They've been a low scoring hockey team, but they got Hischier back, and he was just named the captain yesterday. Nikita Gusev now is returning as well today. That's one of their better offensive players. This team's going to have a full forward group finally for the first time in a while. So much better chance for them to be able to score goals, find the back of the net today in this game against Washington. They got all hands on deck. Jack Hughes, Palmieri, Hischier, Gusev, they're all healthy now. So it's a better, more potent Devil team offensively with everybody back. Next up, we've got Montreal and Ottawa. Montreal minus 220, road favorites, total 6, shaded to the over in this game. Montreal losing, of course, last night to Toronto. A disappointing loss for them. Back and forth game. Bounce back situation potentially for Montreal. Ottawa's going to have Matt Murray in net for this game. Marcus Hogberg, of course, is out for 1 to 2 weeks. So it'll be Matt Murray's net for an extended period of time. Ottawa certainly had, other than, coming back from the death to beat Toronto in the first of the 3 games, they struggled in the other 2, lost the other 2 games to the Leafs. It is a back-to-back for Montreal, but the travel from Montreal to Ottawa isn't that extreme. It's just a little bus ride, essentially, down the highway. That's about it. I'm not laying the price with Montreal. Ottawa does work their ass off. Ottawa does work hard. They keep coming. They keep coming at you. And if you're Montreal, you've got to be ready for that going into this game tonight. This game, I'm kind of interested in Montreal team total over, but I get the sense after, Ottawa just let Toronto completely light them up defensively. Here's the thing that I will like in this game. Watch the status of Thomas Chabot for Ottawa. Thomas Chabot, Thomas Chabot, Make sure you keep an eye on his status for this game tonight, because he didn't play Thursday against Toronto. That was, I believe, the 3rd game he's missed this season. Go back and look at the 3 games that Thomas Chabot has missed for Ottawa this year on their blue line. They have been They have been destroyed defensively in all 3 of those games. I think those were the 2 Edmonton games where they gave up like 7 goals and 5 goals in those 2 games. And then, of course, against Toronto the other night, they put a 7 spot on the board against Ottawa without Chabot. So without Chabot, this team has crumbled in their own zone defensively. And if he's not in tonight, that's going to have me looking at Montreal team total over in this one. That's my lean right now, regardless of whether he suits up, but it'll absolutely be added to the card, and it absolutely will be a bet if he's not on the ice tonight for the Senators, Thomas Chabot. So my lean right now, I haven't locked it in yet, but my lean right now in this game, the only thing I would consider is Montreal team total over 3.5 here, which is at minus 125. Ryan, what do you think here? Habs versus Senators?
With Murray, it's Allen been confirmed, right, for Montreal?
Not confirmed, but you can pretty much
pencil it in. Yeah, I don't see Price going on back-to-back, especially this early in the season, especially against an Ottawa team where Montreal probably doesn't feel like they need to run Price in a back-to-back tonight. And Allen's been putting up some really good numbers this year. You can probably say he's been the better of the 2 goalies there in Montreal. I mean, Price has gotten the wins, but his numbers just quite haven't been there. He's gotten his wins off his offense more so than his save. Montreal is actually 7-1-2 versus Ottawa in the last 10, which makes me want to lean to Montreal. But with the price they're at right now and on a back-to-back, I know the travel's not much of a factor, but it's a wear and tear on your body playing on a back-to-back night, especially 2 big games. I do like the under in this game, though. These 2 teams have trended under in the last little bit against each other and head-to-head. Ottawa's under 7 of the last 10, under in the last 6 versus Montreal. But in the last 6 at home versus Montreal, they're 0-6. So I'd like to stay away from the side in this game, and I'm going to go with the under 6. I think with a back-to-back game, it's going to be a little bit low scoring. Can't see Ottawa getting too many goals. They're not going to blow Montreal out of the water here. But so I'm going to go with the under 6 in this game. And actually, I like to Foley to score at plus 135 and on the Montreal side. And I think if you wanted an Ottawa player to score, Stützle at plus 275 wouldn't be a bad bet either. he seems to be finding his way in the NHL right now, and Ottawa's giving him the opportunities to score. So especially on the power play and just with the ice time, and I think he in a back-to-back game he might be able to generate some scoring chances against a more tired Montreal team tonight.
Yeah. So you liking? Do you want under? There's under 6.5 minus 130 at some spots, or under 6 plus 100 at some spots. Do you want the 6.5? I would think you'd want the 6.5.
I think I'm getting a 6 right now at plus, or not plus. I'm just gonna check my book here. I believe it's a 6, which
Yeah,
I'm more than happy laying. Yeah, 6 at a minus 110. So gonna go with the under 6.5 at minus 110, and we go with Toffoli anytime goal scorer plus 135, and Stützle at plus 275.
Stützle's not a bad option at that price because he's getting chances every game for the Ottawa Senators without question. So under 6 at minus 110 here of Montreal, Ottawa for Ryan, and liking Toffoli and Stützle goal scoring wise. Yeah, I'm looking at Chabot here. He has actually only missed 2 games this year. Sorry, not 3. This would be the 3rd if he misses it. But the 2 games he didn't play, they gave up 8 goals to Edmonton and 7 goals the other night to Toronto. So if he's not in, I'm in on this team total over for Montreal. There's no question about it. They have not, I'm going to put my defensive abilities in the hands and the skates of Goodbranson and Zaitsev, who couldn't even stick on the Leaf blue line. He was not so bad, and all these, and Wolanin. And all these, it's Mike Riley and Artem Zub. Artem Zub's actually played kind of good for Ottawa, but he's still young and he's got to play more minutes. If Chabot's not in there, he's still not ready for that, even though he's got a little potential. If Chabot's not, and Chabot is a game time decision. DJ Smith said it, the head coach, not going to know until like 30 minutes before game time if he's in or not. The pregame skate will dictate that. If you don't see him in there, I'm hopping in on that Montreal team total over. I mean, what are you, 15 goals and 2 games allowed without Thomas Chabot in the lineup for Ottawa? That tells you how important he has been here to this Ottawa defense, without a doubt. All right, next up, we've got the outdoor game, the second one in Lake Tahoe this weekend. Philadelphia Flyers, Boston Bruins. Boston minus 180. The total 5.5, shaded to the under at minus 130 here in this game. Philadelphia going to be without pretty much the same group of players that they did not have the other night against the New York Rangers when they lost to the Rangers in that game. So it's unfortunate. They're depleted, and it's kind of showing because they've lost 4 in a row. They lost a heartbreaker against the Rangers. You can't fault their effort. 3-2 in a shootout, but definitely you're looking at Claude Giroux, the captain, Jake Voracek, Travis Konechny, Oscar Lindblom, Scott Laughton, who actually had a hat trick against Washington, not pretty recently. That's like nearly half of your team's offense right there out of the lineup. The only guys that are still near the top of your team offensively, production-wise, goal scoring and points, is JVR and Sean Couturier. Outside of that, you've pretty much lost everybody that's a main catalyst offensively for this Flyers team. So that's a lot of artillery to have out of the lineup here. Going into this game once again, facing the Bruins. It's going to be tough. I would think they've got to play defensive. Alain Vigneault has said that. If it goes down to at the end of the game, you got to be able to make a defensive play. 3-2 shootout loss to the Rangers. Depleted team. I think they've realized we can't outscore teams right now. Got to be solid in our own zone. Looks like we've lost Ryan, by the way. We'll see if we can reconnect with him. But you got to be solid in your own zone. I'm sure that's the message from Alain Vigneault to the Philadelphia Flyers right now in order to make sure they give themselves a chance. I thought they played a solid enough defensive game, a little bit of a more of a low-risk game. We're not jumping in our defensemen. We're going to try to keep the puck in front of us at all times, make sure we're not giving up those odd man rushes and those prime scoring chances the other direction. I think that's the way they've got to play. I mean, when you're without that key group of forwards and all of them among your top offensive weapons, you're going to have to revert to more of a tight checking, defensive-minded style. And the Flyers usually play that way anyway, but even more so now. It's not all perfect for the Bruins either from an injury perspective. Of course, Matt Grzelcyk is out on the blue line. Jakub Zaboral is out on the blue line. And the big absence up front is David Krejci, second-line center for the Boston Bruins. He will not play in this game for Boston. He is out of the lineup due to a lower body injury. Didn't even make the trip to Lake Tahoe here with this Bruins team. And that's a key absence, and it puts more pressure on, even as amazing as they are, puts even more pressure on Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak, forces Charlie Coyle to have to step up into the second-line center role for Boston with Nick Ritchie and Craig Smith. So it does jumble their lineup a little bit. And if you're Philadelphia, you put all the attention you can defensively on Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak, and you're really make an emphasis to force the Bruins, to try to find other sources of offense. And the Bruins haven't been scoring goals lately. I mean, they're on a 2-game losing streak, losing to the Islanders and Devils in their last 2 games. Finding the back of the net has been a bit of a problem here for Boston in these last few games. Even the wins against the Rangers last weekend, 3 goals in one game, 2 goals in the other. And then you see them score just 2 against Jersey in the loss. And then they get shut down by the Islanders as well. So all of a sudden, Boston's offense has dried up. I know Ryan cashed a ticket with the under in the outdoor game yesterday, as did I. And I don't bet many unders, but I'm betting an under here. You'd better believe it. I think we get a low-scoring, tight-checking game. Philly has to play that way with no Konechny, no Giroux, no Voracek, no Lawton, too many, other than JVR and Couturier, and that's your top 2 scorers that are still there. Everybody else, in terms of your top offensive players, are not in there tonight for the Flyers. So I think they know they got to win games low-scoring right now till they get these guys back. I'm not involved in the side here, but I like under 5.5 here at -130 with the Flyers and Bruins. And again, that ice it's going to be at night. The ice conditions will be a little bit better, but the ice is still a little bumpy, a little choppy, even at night. The puck is bouncing a little bit, even in the end of the Vegas-Colorado game last night. So I think it'll be hard to get those crisp passes going and crisp offensive execution in that kind of environment. So I like the under in that game between the Flyers and Bruins. Ryan, what do you like with the outdoor game, Flyers Bruins?
Yeah, like you, Ian, I'm going back to the well here with the under. I got the 5.5. For me, I think Boston comes out tonight. I think Boston's got to be the side. Like you just listed off all Phillies players that are out for tonight and what they're left with. And it's not much when it comes to top-end talent and top-end scoring there. So I think if you're going to go with the side, it's got to be Boston tonight. And you're laying 175, which I'm not too excited about, laying 175 with this Boston team after the slide, a little bit of a slide they've been on, and being able to lose against teams like New York. And so I'm going to go with the under 5.5. And for a better price, I'm going to go with Boston in regulation at -115 because I think it is going to be a low-scoring game. Don't think we'll see an overtime game with how depleted Philly is. I don't think they're going to be able to find the back of the net too much tonight. And as far as goal scorers, I've kind of got on this goal scorer prop kick. I think Boston's big boys are going to step up tonight. Your star players seem to show up in big games and big moments. And the way Pasta's started his season off, I like him to score at +110 tonight. And if you were looking for somebody else, they got Marchand or Bergeron at a nice price, but I see Pasta being able to find one tonight in a big moment on TV with a lot of eyes on him. I think all the players know that these outdoor games, especially the one-off it's going to be this year, is going to get a lot of eyes and a lot of attention. And I think Boston's big boys step up for them. So I'm going with Boston in regulation at -115 and sprinkle a puck line because I think if they win in regulation, there'll be an empty netter there at the end. And that's at +145. So Boston -1.5 at +145. Pasta to score at +110 and the under. I believe I've got it locked in at -135.
All right, there you go. So a little bit of everything there. A little Boston, small on the Boston puck line, a little bit more for Ryan on the regulation at -115 and under 5.5, -130 as well. So yeah, I mean, to me, I'm just sticking with the under. The Flyers are depleted. You know, four or five of their top offensive players. They still have Couturier and JVR who have been good offensively this year, but outside of in the lineup tonight. But outside of that, everybody else seems to be missing, and the Bruins aren't scoring right now either. So I'm sticking with the under here.
I think if you were to want to pick somebody from Philly to score in tonight's game, you get a really good price on JVR, and he seems to always be around the front of the net. So you can get him at actually +190 to score anytime, and I think you might see him pop one for Philly, and I think that might be their lone bright spot for the night in Lake Tahoe.
All right, so maybe JVR, yeah, and like I say, all the guys you're mentioning from a goal scoring prop standpoint, I wouldn't give you a definitive argument against any of them. I wouldn't say no, don't bet that. Like Pasternak, how am I going to say to someone with a straight face, don't bet Pasternak to score a goal?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you know? I mean, it's just you know, he's cooled off a little. The whole team has, but you know, he's a threat to score every single night. So,
but that when they've cooled off a little, that means you know they gotta be warming up at some point coming. So I'm going to take a shot here with that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a good one. Flyers and Bruins. See how that one plays out.
Nick Ritchie at +500 is not a bad look either.
Yeah, he has found the net a couple of times.
Somebody just sent me that.
Yeah. I mean, that's if you want, like I say, the bar. Now, I had someone on Twitter run into problems a couple weeks ago saying they put too much money on the goal scoring props. You shouldn't be betting the same unit size as you do your game prop. Your full game bets.
I treat it when I bet goal scoring props. I treat it more like coffee money than an actual standard unit size because, like you said, they're hit and miss. You can't be throwing a standard unit size on them, not unless you're absolutely confident. I mean, I guess Matthews would have been a good spot to do that with last night, but I just sprinkled it. But yeah, keep your bets small, guys. When you're betting volume and betting goal scoring props, bank management is key when you're a high volume player like Ian and I.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that. All right, final game, Ryan. Winnipeg, Vancouver. We've got the Canucks -105 to -110. In this one, the total 6 across the board. Very interesting game. I always like these situations where it's two good teams, two capable offensive teams, and they didn't get the goals in the first meeting. I think the goals come in the second meeting. What did we see with Toronto, Montreal? We saw 2-1 last Saturday in Toronto. What did we see last night in the rematch? You know, high scoring shootout in that game, 5-3 for Toronto. What did we see with Edmonton, Calgary on Friday night? 2-1 for Edmonton. What did we see last night? 7-1. You know, an offensive outburst. What did we see with Winnipeg, Vancouver on Friday night? 2-0 shutout win for Winnipeg. Let's give Laurent Brossoit a lot of credit. He started in net Friday night for the Jets. What an outstanding performance. Connor Hellebuck couldn't have played any better Friday night against the Canucks, getting the shutout there. I think the Canucks find it offensively tonight. Even though it is Hellebuck back in net, you would think, geez, you know, why would you want to think Vancouver's going to explode offensively now with Hellebuck playing tonight? But Hellebuck's actually kind of been hit or miss the last few starts. He hasn't been that brick wall. And Winnipeg, I think, can find the back of the net as well. And after a 2-0 game, I like to revert back to higher scoring the next time out, especially when you have two teams that have the offensive capabilities that both the Canucks and the Jets have. So I'm not betting the side. I would lean Vancouver on the bounce back. But I didn't, you know, I'm -110 is not a great price. Vancouver's still not in that. I'd rather take an underdog price with Vancouver than lay anything with them. I lean Vancouver for sure, but I like the over more than anything here. That's what I'm going to go with, over 6 -115 with the Jets and the Canucks tonight. Ryan, what do you think here? Winnipeg, Vancouver. You're on mute. He's still on mute. Got to mention to him. There we go. He's got it.
There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna hear about that from my buddies that are watching. But yeah, I'm a
You're gonna
little
hear
thrown
about it
off
from
by
me.
this
It was that
price
long.
and why it's at a minus 110 for each side, especially with the Jets win the other night. I think Vancouver's starting to figure it out. They're starting to be able to put together some wins and put the puck in the back of the net, and they've been able to get a save or two as of late. So they're not as dismal as they were looking through that 4 or 5 game stretch there where they just couldn't do anything right. I'm not seeing a goalie confirmed yet, but what I see is it might be Holtby to go, and his numbers just aren't there. And with Hallebeck going tonight, I think I like the over, like you said. I like that trend where it's low scoring first game, high scoring second game. But you're not going to get Winnipeg at a minus 110 too many times this year. I think this might be the last time you see them close to a dog versus Vancouver. So I'm going to go with Winnipeg money line at minus 110. I think they're undervalued here, and I think they should be a bigger favorite than minus 110 coming off a win against a Vancouver team that hasn't really proved themselves yet this year. So I'm going with Vancouver minus 110. They are 9-1 in the last 10 versus Vancouver, with the over/under going 3-7. So I think you might be right with the goals coming tonight, Ian. But the numbers, I'm going to stay away from the total this game, and I'm just going to stick with my guns here and go with Winnipeg minus 110.
All right, Winnipeg minus 110 to get the 2-game sweep in Vancouver after winning 2-0 on Friday night. Ryan going back to the Jets here, minus 110 in this matchup on Sunday night. All right, that is the breakdown of the NHL card of the 4 games taking place tonight. Before we get to best bets to wrap up the show, a reminder, make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account there after doing that, and use the promo code THPN. You'll get bet boosts. You'll get bonuses. You'll get all kinds of exclusive deals for downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app, signing up, and using that promo code THPN, the Hockey Podcast Network. So be sure to do that if you haven't already. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. We'll start with our special guest, Ryan McDonald. You can follow him on Twitter at moneymac_sports. It's been good to have him on the show, these 2 weekend shows, and we'll look to have him back again on the show sometime down the road for sure. Ryan, best bet. Where are you going for a best bet?
I'm going to go best bet Boston in regulation at minus 115 tonight.
All right, Boston in regulation, minus 115. Best bet for Ryan in that game. Mine is going to be, I was going to go either Bruins Flyers under. I also considered Devils Capitals over. But I'm going to go with Jets Canucks over instead. The late night matchup here. We've got Winnipeg, Vancouver, over 6, minus 115. Good quote from Elias Pettersson saying, it's another one of those games. We play hard, work ethic's there, but we're not scoring. We're not producing. When a good goal scorer and a good offensive player like Elias Pettersson's saying that, I'd expect him and his team to be better offensively tonight. Winnipeg, I think, will score as well. So Jets Canucks over 6. Minus 115 for my best bet on this Sunday card. And that'll wrap up the show. Thank you to everyone for watching on YouTube live. And if you can't watch the show on YouTube daily, make sure you download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form so you can listen to the Ice Guys show daily wherever you are on the go. We are the only 7 days a week NHL betting show anywhere. So make sure you tune in live on YouTube or download the podcast on all major podcast providers. Thanks to everyone for joining us. For Ryan McDonald, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.